And hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And how's everybody doing this evening?
Yeah.
Right, let's start it. Right, I said we're not going to we're going to take this topic rather seriously, and I said we reveal what the topic is when we're on the stream. So here goes. So right, this is a very serious topic, guys, and it needs to be taken with care and dignity. And yeah, and obviously we're here to support everybody we possibly can. And I'm going to think, as it's Dad's channel, Mackie's channel, I think Dad's going to start, if I'm not mistaken, with the topic and what he feels with the topic, and then we'll go into the first video.
Basically, why I'm doing this chat tonight, there's too many people committing suicide because they're not getting the support they needed. So basically, I'm trying to bring to the figure, why is it? One suicide is enough. We don't want to hear more people committing suicide when the government and council should be there to support them. This is basically why it needs bringing to the head, so the councils and the government can start doing things, so there's no more suicides, wrecking families' lives because one of the loved ones have committed suicide. This is what it needs to be brought to head. We don't want any more. One is we've had too many, and this is why it needs to be brought to the head. There's too many of it. So this is why we're trying to get it out there and get the support for the people who need it.
Yeah, suicide is a lead of cause of death in American teenagers. At the rate of suicide in middle-aged adult has gone up by 30% in the past decade, which is absolutely and utterly shocking.
But it's not just teenagers; it's adults, children. Why is this happening? This is why the trouble. This is why we need to know, to find out, so we can stop it. So there's no more of it. This is why we're trying to get the government and councils to put it as a priority, so the people get the help, so they don't have to go down this path. Look how many people that basically, who people know who's committed suicide because they're not getting the help, the support what people need. Children as young as 6 committing suicide. It's wrong. This is why it needs to be brought to head. They've got a future, they've got a life, but yet they can't find anything. So what do? They sadly go and commit suicide, wrecking their own lives and the family's lives because they're losing loved ones.
Okay.
You walk down the street in Halifax, the North Bridge, and you see flowers, you see signs, you see cards, and you read them. It brings tears to your eyes. And you're thinking, another life, what's gone? Because she's got no support or no help. But yet, if the councils and government start to putting in these support for people, we won't get this. The child could go on to become a doctor, a scientist, a specialist in fields. But yet, they end up committing suicide. It's wrong. Totally and utterly wrong. Because they're not getting the support. What basically should be given. This is why it needs to be brought ahead. There's too many people in this country getting let down in many fields. Just think, if you saw my speech this morning, or on my rant, that there's mental health people going to food banks, a servicemen on the street, family in poverty. So what do? They can't take any more, so they're going to commit suicide. Why? Because they're not getting the support what we should be getting. It's wrong. It's the time the government and the councils start putting all these support peoples in, what we pay for, in community charges and any other charges they like to give to put on us. This is why we do stuff like this. You're correct, Danny, the daddy. 100% pure correct. But they should care. This is the way the problem is. They should care.
Dad, do you want to answer the first video?
Yeah, please put on the first video, then we'll have a talk after it.
Okay, this, guys, is how the police deal with mental health.
Not just arrest people with mental health issues. In every crew, an officer, a paramedic and a psychiatric nurse. It's 9:30 and the team have received their first call of the night. We're riding with the team's coordinator, Chief Inspector Sean Russell.
What do we know about where we're going?
So we're going to report from a member of the public about a male who's outside an address now. And the conversation is that he's actually hallucinating, saying that people are out to hurt him.
When we arrive, the team quickly contains the situation and a psychiatrist is on the way.
We have a doctor on the scene already, so he's going to liaise with street triage.
Fantastic, that's brilliant.
It means precious police and ambulance time isn't wasted and the patient won't spend the night in a police cell.
So what do we know?
So we've got a young man who's now back inside his home address with his partner. We've got a doctor on scene, actually, so the family have called for a doctor at the same time, and we've got the local locum service have come out.
It's a good result. You're not as needed as you might be in another situation.
Absolutely, and I think this is just a really, really good example around how we're starting to work together.
It's not long before the team has another emergency.
So we've got a call from the local police team at Steelhouse Lane Police Station, based in the city centre, to a male who's currently in our front office, threatening to harm himself and other people.
In the past, this person might have got sectioned very quickly.
Absolutely,
There are other options.
absolutely, or even actually directly arrested and taken straight into the police cell. You know, for someone who's really, really unwell, that actually might not be the best place for them.
When we arrive at the station, the team decides how best to deal with a tense situation. Inside, a number of officers are having to restrain the man involved.
So what we've now got is, the paramedic getting out all of his equipment, so we can do a physical health check on that individual just to make sure that he's physically well.
It soon becomes clear that the man has been drinking too heavily for a mental health assessment.
He's escorted by officers out of the police station, but the man's taken to a waiting ambulance. West Midlands Police say there's a mental health dimension to a lot of their 999 calls, and this new approach means fewer people who are unwell are being criminalised for it. Dominic Reynolds, 5 News.
Wait a minute. A person who needs support and understanding gets put into a prison, a police cell, and given a criminal record. Isn't it wrong? They should be taken to a specialist unit, what they have at hospitals, and given the support they need. This is what it all needs to change. They shouldn't be put in a police cell. So, but this is what we need to fight. People with mental illness and need support shouldn't be put in a police cell. They should have a specialist team who work out of the NHS so that they get the support what they need. Not given or taken to a police cell. A police cell is for criminals who break the law, not for people who need support and help. Because they're not getting it. This is how crazy it's getting in this world. And it needs to change so the people get the support. Instead of getting locked up because they need the help. This is how stupid this world is getting. But yet, we're the fifth richest country. We put these people in places, in government and in councils to support us, and they're not doing it. But you watch in a couple of weeks, they'll be banging on your door. You need to take them into task and ask them why these are not getting done. And if they don't give you an answer or anything like that, the answer's simple. Don't vote for them. Give it to somebody, vote for somebody who's going to do these and make us do it. Just tell them you're not voting for it. This is why there's too many of these suicides in the country, because they're not getting the support what they need. So what happens? Oh, they go off the rails for it because they've got a mental illness. Next minute they're in a cell. Next minute they've got a criminal record. No fault of their own because they're not getting the support.
Dad, I think we're having a technical difficulty with your mic. So I'm going to knock you off. I'm going to put you onto a mobile phone. So I'm going to pop that on. Play. I should be able to speak. Hello, guys. Right, that'll be better for you now. Consultant. Right, that should be better for you to speak now.
Right. It's just prison.
Touching the iPad. Take that iPad away.
Still struggling.
Right. Can everybody hear Dad better now? Dad's just speak.
Hello?
Right.
Oh, you're all okay tonight?
Can everybody hear Dad better now? If you can hear Dad better, press 1 in chat so I know if possible. Please. Right. Dad, just speak for me.
Right, hello.
That's better. I can hear you. Right. Kevin, what we were saying now should be a lot better.
Right, you've just seen the video of what's going on with the police and why are they locking up people who need help. It's wrong. These people should get the support, not to be locked up. And because they're getting locked up, they're becoming criminals. It's wrong. These are why we need to bring this to the head and tell the people and tell the governments and councils. Wait a minute, they shouldn't be going to police stations because they've got a mental issue. They should be going to the hospitals where they need the support, they need the care. But wait a minute, oh no, where do they end up? A police station. But wait a minute, what are police stations for?
Dad was having mic trouble, so I had to sort out his mic. That's sort of what happening. Just that guy. Dad, have we lost you?
Yeah, my phone's gone.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't see how my phone's gone. The Wi-Fi's going up and down.
It's right. Just speak. We can still hear you. Right. I'll sort it in 2 minutes.
The same Wi-Fi's going up and down. I don't know what's going on. Could be weather outside.
Do you want to go into another video then, or?
Yeah, put another video on.
Which one? Dad, I've lost you. Right, I'm going to put a video on which I actually did with a mental health practitioner where I sort out what this technical difficulty is with Dad's microphone. So I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. I am Jerry McDonald, and today I'm joined by Rosie, who is a mental health nurse. So hi, Rosie.
Hi guys, if you don't know me, my name is Rosie and I study medical sciences at the University of Leeds, but also I work in NHS mental health services.
And thank you, Rosie, for taking the time to speak with us this evening. And you're going to be answering some questions about your experience and working in the NHS sector in Leeds mental health. So I'm going to be asking you a few questions, and if you would politely answer them, that would be fantastic. Where do you work?
Well, I can't say where I actually work. I can say what kind of wards I work on. So I work on acute wards, which are for people who are genuinely very unwell for their mental health. They can have kind of any diagnosis under the sun. If it's not needed to have any specialist services input, many people go on acute wards, and these are probably the most common wards that you find in the NHS. I also work in forensic mental health services. So that means people who are under investigation or have committed a crime due to their mental health. So it often involves people who are under section or under like police custody. I also work on CAMS units, which is children and adolescent mental health services. So I work basically in children's mental health wards. This can involve any diagnosis, and I really do enjoy this, to be fair. And then I work on eating disorder units for people with eating disorders. There's so many units, dementia units, there's basically specialist units. and I go round and I literally can work in any of them. There's psychiatric intensive care, which I work in as well. There's just so many wards, rehab wards, addiction wards, and yeah, I really love getting an absolute range, and every day is kind of different for me, which I really like.
So on a day-to-day type of range of going through all these different wards, the psychiatric wards and stuff like that, what do you actually do in a day-to-day setting?
So what do I actually do? It really depends on the given day, if I'm honest, and the ward. But I thought I'd try like run down a general day. So if I'm working like a 13-hour shift, so my shift will start at 7, which means I'll go into handover straight away at 7 o'clock. That normally lasts like half an hour, can last up to like 45 minutes, which the night shift definitely don't want. That's the same with late shift people. When like the shifts are changing over, you kind of want handover to be as quick as possible so you can go home. But yeah, it depends what's happening on the day. There'll normally be some people on a 1-to-1 and 2-to-1, but this basically means that you have to observe them at all times within a certain distance of them, which depends on all different levels as well. So normally I'll probably have like 4 or 5 hours of that. With that I can do absolutely anything depending on what they need. So if they're escorted, I can take them out for walks, I can play games with them, support them, chat to them, basically do anything that they need, help with like washing and showering and all that kind of thing. Breakfast is normally like 9, in the NHS it's normally self-service breakfast, so someone has to be, like one of the staff has to be on the breakfast area at all times, but they just come and go, the patients. There'll be groups that I can run, depending on which group. Then there'll be lunch, which is at 12. Normally there'll be some kind of activities. I might escort people into the local area, that kind of thing. And then lunch goes, and then it's normally the new shift come in at 12, but they don't get allocated things till 2. That's when like the other people start to leave, and then handover starts again. For the late shift, some wards don't make you do double handover, but some do. It just depends on the ward. Then there's afternoon activities. Some people might want a 1-to-1 with you. I might be on like 1-to-1 observations again, and then dinner's normally at 5. Sometimes there's courtyard time, which means 2 staff have to be in the courtyard and people can just come and go as patients. And then yeah, it's kind of 8 p.m. is normally the end hour, and then I finish and I go home. There's often like incidents which will happen, which means if I'm on response, I run to the other wards. So there's like a buddy system where 1 or 2 people run to the other wards if an alarm goes, which I'm often on response. Basically like a first aider or someone's trained in PMVA training, which is restraint training as well, and you have to run to the other wards if there's an emergency, or there's like a life-threatening emergency team as well, which they'll run as well.
A lot of people have fear of psychiatric hospitals or mental health hospitals. So the next question I'm going to ask you is it dangerous to work in these particular units?
And honestly, I'd say no. There are dangerous situations, of course, but there are in every day. Like I feel probably the same amount of comfort as I do walking alone on the street as a female. But I would say that because like some wards I've got 2-3 alarms on me, I've always got one at least. But the team work so closely together. We all work, even other patients work well with us, and that's all you can ask for really. I think that's the best part of the role, is the team, especially working in mental health where things can get a bit you know, intense, like on any wards, but like more like physically intense. That the wards are genuinely a safe environment to be as staff. Like as a healthcare staff, you do have to go in with the expectation that you could get hurt, especially like working in A&E. It's absolutely no different. You're dealing with the general public, and it's no different from walking down the street. I wouldn't say it's dangerous at all, and this definitely wouldn't put me off. I mean, there are incidents and you can't lie about that kind of thing. Obviously I can't go into them, but there have been situations that we needed like some more help and that kind of thing. But the team works so greatly together. Even if you like run to another ward, which I often do, and they don't know my name or anything, you just immediately know what to do, and you're trained to do that. I've had so much training as well, so I genuinely feel absolutely comfortable working on any ward, determining whether it's a forensic ward, PQ ward, any kind of ward. I feel comfortable working on, just because I've got safety, I've got the knowledge, everything like that.
So anybody that wants to get into working in mental health hospitals or psychiatric hospitals or psychiatric wards in a general hospital or royal hospital, what qualifications do you actually need to do that particular job?
I think it depends on your role. So I just work as a support worker, so I don't need any qualifications apart from like personal ones, such as that you've got empathy, you kind of understand mental health, that kind of thing, that you dedicated and committed to trying to improve these people's lives, and you've got like awareness of it. But obviously if you want to be a psychiatrist, you do need medical and specialist training, or nurses or OTs or anything like that. So it completely depends. But for a support worker, you don't really need anything apart from care experience.
So working on these particular wards and dealing with these particular ill people, do you actually get nervous, or do you have a phobia, or do you get bored working with people with that illness?
Nervousness, not really. Like, even if people are quite agitated and like running down the corridors, that kind of thing, no. So like one-to-one is where you have to be within distance. So there's different types of one-to-one. There's one-to-one within arm's length, which means I literally have to be like this far away from the person. Then there's like one-to-one general eyesight, which is the most common one. Like, I've only been within arm's length once, but so you just have to kind of watch them, follow them, that kind of thing, make sure that they're okay. Always, like, it depends kind of on the person, and you evaluate it on the person that you're doing one-to-one with, how close and like how far you need to be. But no, I don't get nervous, just because in NHS hospitals, especially mental health ones, they're quite laid out quite well. So like there has to be a staff member in the corridor at all times, and I'd never go into someone's bedroom if I'm on one-to-one unless there was like a specific reason that I had to go in. They'd never close the door, lock the door. I've got keys on me anyway. So no, I don't ever feel nervous doing one-to-one, because it's just general people. I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand and say, oh, people with mental health can be aggressive. I'm like, people without mental health can be aggressive in that sense. And I think it's just portrayed so badly in the media, and it's kind of what I want to like dispel, is that no, people just going through a rubbish time. It doesn't reflect on them what they're doing, and they're just in a stressful situation, and it's way worse for them than it is for us. So no, I don't ever feel nervous. I couldn't do the job if I felt nervous. But I'd say I do probably get bored when they're just sleeping. It sounds bad, but if you just have to watch them sleep for like an hour, so you normally do 1 hour on, like a few hours off, or 1 hour off, or it depends, you can't do more than 1 hour on the same person, like in a consecutive row. So yeah, I wouldn't say I ever feel nervous, but I'd say watching people sleep, like, it is quite boring, but it would be, you know, but I wouldn't really change it, because in the end of the day, I'm watching them to make sure they're keeping safe, and that in itself is really rewarding.
We know that there's lots of cases that go into these particular wards and these particular clinics and these particular psychiatric hospitals and mental health hospitals, and some of the scenes and incidents are quite emotional. Do you ever feel emotional, and do you ever cry about the emotions of what that particular person is actually going through?
I never cry in front of patients. It's not my place to. You have to be quite outwardly resilient, but I'd say with any job, you kind of cried working in a cafe job afterwards, you know, just because it's mental health. You do see things that are incredibly upsetting, and you do lose people and all that kind of thing, which I'd say is tough. And I'd say if I didn't cry when I saw some things that I have seen, then I wouldn't be okay, you know. Crying's kind of like an emotion which you have to let out sometimes, and I have cried to my flatmates, and they're probably watching me and saying, yeah, like they've witnessed these kind of like just letting it out after a day, which to be honest I think is healthy. Like, if you saw someone go through something so tough, even if like I can't tell people like what's gone on because like confidentiality, I can kind of just express that emotion, and I genuinely think that's healthy to do. But I wouldn't do it in front of patients because it's not my place. If I was, I would take myself out of that situation, just because it's kind of not really fair on them, because I have to be their support system, and when they're distressed, it's not good if I'm distressed, if that makes sense. So you have to be very emotionally resilient to be able to deal with these kind of things.
Not to sound rude, but you look a youngish type of lady. I'm not going to go into your age or ask your age because that's rude, but you do look young. And what do you think it is being young and working in healthcare and the role you're particularly doing? And what impacts with being young do you actually face on a day-to-day scale?
I honestly wouldn't like know any different, but I think healthcare is for people of all ages, and especially like being a patient in healthcare, you can literally be any age as well. So I've looked after like babies on like mother and baby units and that kind of thing, so I genuinely feel no different. Like if you've got the experience and the maturity and the awareness and understanding, age shouldn't be a barrier, and I don't think it is a barrier in the NHS. Like just because I'm 21 and someone I could be working with is 55, I wouldn't say there's a ranking, especially in mental health. If you're a support worker, you've all got the same job description, you all work as a team, you all know the risks, and you know that like how rewarding it is as well. And I think that it wouldn't be a good place to work if there was that kind of like ranking, because you're all doing the same, you're all supporting each other, and when someone asks for help or pulls their alarm, everyone's going to run, no matter what like age they are, or if anyone needs someone to be like brought a cup of tea or, you know, running an activity, it shouldn't matter what age you are. So I genuinely don't find, like, I find people would chat to me a lot more, like everyone knows that I'm a student, but they kind of expect that when I walk in, and I walk in scrubs as well, so a lot of people think I'm a medical student, but no, like I find it just really interesting and insightful, and I learn from my experience. Like I'm probably least experienced out of the people who've worked there, let's say 20 years on the same ward. Of course I'm going to think that they know what they're doing, and I'd ask them for help if I haven't been on that ward before, but no, I genuinely don't think there's any kind of age barrier in working in the NHS.
We've been going for about 40 minutes. I think we need a toilet break. Time to put the kettle on and make yourself a cuppa. We'll be back in 2 minutes, folks. Don't go anywhere. What's the trickiest thing about working in the NHS on the mental health sector?
Definitely seeing people distressed and feeling like they're unable to cope. That is the hardest thing, or seeing people having to be in restraints. That is awful. No one likes it. It is the 100% worst part of my job. But you get through it and you know why they're in one. Like, you'd never restrain someone or use PMVA techniques if there wasn't a reason for it. So you do have to justify it that this is keeping them safe in that moment, but it is incredibly hard to witness. I definitely think that's the trickiest part of my job, but keeping someone safe and keeping them from harming themselves or others is definitely rewarding, and knowing that like you have saved someone, you have like helped someone in that moment, and that's how you get through it, that's how you justify it, and I think that is an incredibly rewarding part. But yeah, I would say that definitely is the trickiest part of my job.
So we all heard previously that you're a student at Leeds University, but how did you get into the mental health sector?
But so I got into it through my previous care experience, and then I worked for an agency who like let me to the NHS. So that's how I got into it, which is very common, like a very common thing to do. But you can also go onto the NHS jobs website. There's also private hospitals, so like the Priory and Huntercombe and Signet and that kind of area of expertise. There's also prisons that you can work in. You just have to apply to them, just reach out, phone them, apply. There's also the staff bank, which like you can supply yourself to different hospitals, which is my next like big goal. So that's the kind of thing that you'd kind of look into and research, and definitely like ask about experience. If you've got like mental health insight, that's really good on a job application because you've got more awareness, and I wouldn't say it like barriers you at all to talk about that in terms of like CVs and job applications. But honestly, I'd say it's worth it. You definitely have to be very emotionally resilient and able to deal with stressful situations that you need to think on your feet right then and there what to do. But I'd say go for it. I love my job. I couldn't think of doing anything else right now.
And we'll leave it there. Thank you for talking to us, Rosie, and I hope people actually got a better understanding of what it's like working in a psychiatric or mental health hospital or mental health unit. And thank you for talking to us.
I really hope you do like, comment and subscribe on this video.
Yes, that would help. Thank you. Like, comment and subscribe. And if there's anybody that wants to know about how to get into the mental health business, how can they contact you and ask questions?
So message me on my Instagram at its.rosie.elizabeth.
Thank you for talking to us.
And yeah, see you soon. Bye.
And hello guys, and welcome back.
Right, that was somebody wants to basically to go into helping the people. Right, I'm going to tell you two stories two true life events in a minute. The first one is basically was happened about 6 months ago on North Bridge in Halifax. There was a young child, a 6-year-old, getting let down by the school, getting let down by the services. She had a learning difficulty. She was also taking drugs given to her by a friend. Because she couldn't pay for them, they ended up having sex with her. So this poor child couldn't take it anymore. So what did she do? She went down to North Bridge and jumped off it, killing herself. 6-year-old. Because she didn't get the support. This is why we need to bring suicide to the front. The next event. Today I went to town and I walked onto North Bridge. And as I was walking onto North Bridge, I saw a young lady there laying some flowers. So I just spoke to her and asked her basically why she was laying the flowers. And she told me it was because of for her boyfriend who jumped off North Bridge. So she says, I says, I'm not being rude, but can you tell me a bit about it? She goes, yeah, I'll tell you a bit about it. This young lad was 16 years old. He had a bright future, but he had schizophrenia. So he didn't get the support he needed. So what happened? He got voices in his head to tell him to go and commit suicide. So he jumped off North Bridge. The only problem is, though, his girlfriend of the same age was pregnant. She had a little girl, but that little girl will not see her father. That father will not see this little child, his daughter, grow up. This one suicide is more than enough. These is a problem in this world. People are not getting the support, or the services are not getting the funding to give the support from the council and government. But what happens? We're the fifth richest country, but yet people are still committing suicide. It's horrible and disgusting, but yet we can change it if the governments and the council start putting in resources to help these people. This is why we should all unite and stand firm so we can get what we need in this country. So there's no more people committing suicides. Families being ruined because the loved ones are no longer here because they couldn't get the support or the care they need. This is what is wrong with this world. There's too much of it. We don't want any more. And this is why we need to be united so it stops. There's too many people I know who's lost loved ones because they committed suicide. But yet there could have been doctors. There could have been scientists. We could have the best. There could be the best people in the world for all. But yet they're no longer here. Why is this happening? This is what people need to say. Why is this happening? When it shouldn't be. There's too much of it. But wait a minute, it's not just adults, it's children. It's disgusting how they get tricked. So they can't find any better else to do. So what do? They commit suicide. For no fault of their own, because they're not getting the support or the care they need. It's horrible. When I walk to town on the morning, I walk on North Bridge and I see the flowers, I see the cards, and I read them, and I'm thinking, another life, gone, because he didn't get the support, the need. I gets me a tear to my eyes. And I'm thinking, why is this happening? When it shouldn't be. Then you walk another 100 yards, there's another one. Another 100 yards, there's another one. And you're thinking, why is there so many? It's wrong. It shouldn't be happening in this day and age. And then you think, wait a minute, what about their families? And if they've got children? Then you're thinking, then you read it. The age is what they were. And you're thinking, why? When they could have got the support and the care if someone got off their arse and gave it to them. This is totally and utterly a disgrace in this world. There shouldn't be any suicides. There shouldn't be any problems in this country. Because we're the 5th richest country. We should be able to, if people need the help and support, we should have it. This is what the people need to fight and be united, so there's no more of it. There's too much horrible things in this world. Suicide, people not being in poverty. So what do? Because they can't survive. 9 out of 10, they end up committing suicide. It's wrong. People go out to work and they end up going to food banks. It's wrong. So what do? Because they can't survive, do all this. 9 out of 10, they end up going to commit suicide, which is wrong. This needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. This is why it needs bringing to the head. There's too much of it, and it's making me absolutely utterly sick and tired of people getting let down in society for no fault of their own. Because they may have an health problem. They may have other issues what need to be sorted. They might not be as strong as like most people and take it on board. So what do? They commit suicide. Another waste of a life being let down. This needs to change, and it needs to change now for the better. This is why we do stuff like this, because we wanted to people to think and say, wait a minute, is right what we're saying. The people need to unite. We need things to change. So people get the support. So there's no more suicides. There's no more people getting let down. So people can live an happy life. So they can go on to be doctors, what we're crying out for. Nurses, surgeons, specialists in all fields. So we can get back to being great again. Instead of seeing and walking on people and saying, oh, do you know so-and-so's committed suicide? Or do you know so-and-so's being let down? And you're thinking, it's wrong. Another life being let down. This is why we do stuff like this. And we want people to stand up and tell your MPs and your councillors, we cannot stand no more. We want things to change, and change for the good. Not just for my family, but for your families, your friends, their friends, so we can go and be happy and supporting one another. So if you need to see a specialist in any field, you can see it. They don't have to be a waiting list for years. If you've got a criminal record, you get the support so you can go back to work. If you've got a medical issue, you get the help, you get the support so you can make a future for themselves. This is what we're saying. We need to unite so we can stand as one. Like Daddy said, we'll never get back to being a Great Britain. And why will this not happen? Because we're not fighting for it to happen. We're letting too much and too many power-hungry people ruin our lives and tell us what we can't and cannot do. When we should say, wait a minute, you're a human being like me. You're nothing special. Listen to what we're saying. Doesn't matter if you're a millionaire, a billionaire. You can't take money or possessions with you when you're dead. But there's too much going on in this world, and it needs to stop. And stop these hungry power people ruining our lives so we don't get any more suicides. And the list can go on and on. And the government and the council, if they can't do the job, the answer's simple. Give it to some fucker who can. There's too many people out there who can do better jobs than what they're doing if they get off their arse and fight for it. This doesn't matter if you've got a mental illness or a disability. You have a voice. You have freedom to speak. And let people hear your voices and say, whoa, I've had enough. I cannot stand anymore. It needs to change. I need the support. I need the help. And keep banging on the doors until you get it. And if they don't like it, tough. It's you who needs to do basically. It's your life. No one can run it. And this is what it's all about. There's too much suicides. Too much people getting let down. Too many families getting hurt because of loved ones committing suicide or getting let down in society. Too much of it. I can't stand it anymore. And then you look at his history and you think, wait a minute, why is these people gone and fought in conflicts and been killed? It's because of a word called freedom.
On to that subject, Dad. Why do people think that people are not getting the support they actually need? Maybe I'll put the link on. Maybe anybody would like to come on and answer that.
Because it comes down to one thing and one thing only. Power-hungry governments. Power-hungry councillors who don't give a hoot about me or you. All they're bothered about is money, 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 money. That's all they're bothered about. But it should change. If they can't do the job, walk off. It's not about money. It's supposed to be about the people. We vote them there to give up so they help the people. Not because they want the fucking money.
Can a bit quieter, he's shouting. It sounds like.
I am not shouting. It's because I'm angry. I've seen too much. I can't stand anymore. I've seen too much people being let down in this country. I've seen too much people committing suicides. The list goes on, and I'm getting tired of it all. But I'm just one person. I don't know how many hundreds of millions of people feel what I feel when I'm walking and I see flowers because people committed suicide, or you hear that people have been let down. My heart bleeds for them. Why are they not getting the help and the support? Come on, government. Come on, council. Give me the answers so we know why you're letting us down. And it's not to do with bloody money or anything else you want to think of it. It's because you're basically power hungry. This needs to change. And if you can't do the job, give it to somebody who can. There's many, many, many people in this world who can do a better job. This is why we need to unite. That's why I've got in my name, in my title. Unite. We need to march together. It's not there because I fancy the name. I want justice for everybody. I want us to be a league of champions. I want us to unite, get behind one another. And I want to march onto these governments. I want to march onto these councils. I want answers, and I want them now. Why is this country being let down? And if you can't do your job, simple, leave and give it to somebody who can.
I think we're going to go into a...
I'm just going to put on a video and see what I want to know about. And then you'll find out, basically.
My heart was pounding, like... It was like I'd been electrocuted or something. Like I was just so tense.
They told me to smash the door down and get in there. And then it got really scary.
When I got the inkling that something was wrong, I just tried to call her and call her and call her and call her, and I must have called her about 50 times.
He says, are you the biological mother of Steph and James Osgood?
I don't know how to tell you this, but your brother isn't alive anymore.
I'm sorry to tell you, but Lucy's dead.
Andrew was my role model more than you were. Sorry, Ryan. He was pretty much everything I wanted to be.
I literally thought I was going to be the brother of the future best scientist or
some Nobel Prize
winner.
Do
something amazing, yeah. I actually did think he would win a Nobel Prize.
I probably would have.
He might have done.
Telling my children that their brother was dead was horrendous. My boys, my two boys, are always going to be children whose brother killed themselves. That's hard.
I met Andrew on my first day of school. Once we were in sixth form, he's probably my closest friend by then. He was always up for having a good laugh, coming up with pretty ridiculous things to say, which you wouldn't expect, when you first meet him. He was completely unassuming, he had no sort of ego to him, but you could tell just from speaking to him that he was extremely intelligent.
Around 335,000 teenagers in England, Wales and Northern Ireland have been getting their results today.
Oh my God! I can remember A-level results day ridiculously well. Actually, we were being filmed that day for a news programme. I am so proud of you! The year before us at school, no one had gone to Oxford or Cambridge. I saw Andrew for about 3 seconds and we both just sort of nodded at each other like, yep, we did it.
No low grades for Andrew Kirkham. He got 4 A stars and seemed stunned.
I don't know, I haven't really taken in all these words in this paper yet. Yeah.
And where is it you want to go and what do you want to do?
Physics and philosophy at Oxford.
Andrew and his friend Effie both arrived at Oxford University in the autumn of 2012.
When he had his matriculation, he looked so smart, and I remember seeing the picture and just laughing because I'd never seen him look that smart before. But yeah, he was sending me messages like, can you? I've been looking on YouTube how to tie this bow tie for like the last an hour. Like, I've lost my shoes. Like, can you help me? Basically, I'm in trouble. So yeah, he was enjoying it.
I did see Andrew in first week though outside a club, which just blew my mind because I'd never seen him clubbing before in my entire life.
I was Andrew's first girlfriend. I actually felt that he was my soulmate. I loved to brag and tell people that I had a boyfriend who went to Oxford. I still do that sometimes, actually.
The first thing he said to me, where I was like, whoa, that's not okay, was when he said he'd done 2 all-nighters in a row. And I was like, well, that's sleep deprivation. You're going to feel really bad and it's going to really mess with your head.
I think he was under a new level of pressure that he wasn't able to completely overcome. And I think that was like the first time he was like, I don't know if I'm at this level, I don't know if I'm good enough to carry on doing this and succeed at it.
Well, it's amazing how quickly Andrew went down. It really is. And I don't know when it began to fall apart, but it seems that it happened very quickly.
Unknown to Andrew, his friend Effie was also struggling with university life.
Once you get into somewhere like Oxford, admitting that you don't want to be there and leaving is the most horrendous thing in the entire world. There was this pressure from the university, from, society as a whole, to stay there. And I got myself into such a panic and such a state over it. I remember saying to my mum, look, I can't do this anymore, I need to go home. We've got a missing diary. And 2013, which is really interesting, is that big. Like, that's all it is, because it was such a bad time for me. And then, literally, this is how bad I thought it was. I've fucked up my life. It doesn't mean I have to continue like that. And then that was June. I actually haven't read this back in a long, long time.
Andrew returned home that summer, determined to continue with his studies.
When we came back in the summer for summer holidays, our family and his family had like a big barbecue at theirs. He was happy that he'd finished his first year of university, but he wasn't quite as enthusiastic about his exams, certainly. I think he sort of felt to himself anyway that he hadn't done as well as he thought he might have done.
When do you go from being sad to depressed? And I, to this day, have no idea when that point is. It's not like you can pick out people from a line and say, well, these ones are going to commit suicide in their lifetime. It could happen to literally anybody.
this is my ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. ALS is also known as motor neuron disease in the UK.
He said, I want to go to Aberystwyth University. I think it was the surfer culture that he wanted to be a part of. He was brilliant at snowboarding, brilliant at surfing, brilliant at skateboarding, and I think he just thought Aberystwyth would be a massive party and surf party. That's what I thought he thought.
Stefan did have a lot of friends, yeah. Stefan just knew a stupid number of people. He was just really funny. He just was a big character. He was my best friend.
Every single night out with him was brilliant and hilarious. He'd just do random stuff. He'd dance crazily than everyone else. He'd be more up for doing that mad shot challenge that everyone's trying. You know, like, he would always be the one pushing for people to have more fun than they were having.
So this is a cheeky little recorded message for Plotzy.
He turned into my friend more because he was honest with me.
I just want you to know that you suck, and I hate you like fucking loads.
Anytime that I was feeling like I had no energy, he'd bring all of his energy.
And I actually love you, and this is all just hate.
We've become, very close.
Fist bump the camera.
There were two sides to Stefan. There was the happy-go-lucky side. And then there was the very intense side of him where he was very serious about things and very quiet and very introspective.
He told me he had a history of depression. He had quite a lot of scars on his arms. And I remembered, I noticed them and never wanted to ask. And then I think he brought it up and I said, I didn't notice, which was a bit of a lie because I had noticed, but, so he told me then.
When he was about 14, 15, started with anxiety attacks. He would withdraw and go into himself and he wouldn't talk about it. And then it would pass and he'd move on.
In March 2016, Stefan was approaching his final exams at Aberystwyth.
I think he was worried that he wasn't going to pass his degree. He wasn't going to pass his finals and they were impending. He'd also spent all his rent.
He got a letter saying that, action was going to have to be taken if it didn't get sorted out soon.
I think uncertainty bothered Stefan massively. And I think he was also tired of his depressions and tired of carrying them and hiding them and not showing anybody. So I think a mixture of uncertainty, fear of failure, and they just didn't want to be a burden.
On the night of Stefan's death, Clarissa dialed in for their usual evening Skype.
I spoke to Stefan for probably about 4 hours on Skype. We were watching House at the time. We'd each have Netflix up and have each other on Skype, and we'd order Chinese at the same time and see who would arrive first. Me and Stefan were just having a normal catch-up, as far as I was concerned, and that's what it seemed like.
Stefan and Clarissa had been planning to move in together once his exams were over.
I was talking about when Stefan was moving to Bristol and about work and stuff like that, and he said, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. I think at the point where we had that conversation, Stefan already knew what he was going to do. I don't know whether at that point he knew he was going to do it that night, but I think he knew he was going to do it. Stefan sent me a message on Facebook at about 4 o'clock in the morning saying, I love you and I always will, and I'm sorry. As far as I'm aware, it happened sometime fairly soon after that conversation.
About 9 o'clock in the morning, there's a knock at the door. And there's a policeman. And he says, God, those words. Are you the biological mother of Stephen James Osgood? Oh, and I just shot to my feet. And I said, yes, why? Is he all right? Is he all right? I don't know whether I felt it straight away, but I had a horrible feeling. And I thought, oh God. And he said, I'm so sorry to tell you that he's passed away this morning.
I put down the phone, went and sat on my bed and looked at the floor. And then I think I cried for about 5 hours. Yeah, I couldn't stop.
I don't know why he didn't tell me.
Crosses my mind almost every day why Stephen did what he did. He was feeling awful about 1,000,001 different things, and that drove him to what he was going to do. He was going to take his life, and it's not okay because now we can't fix it. I'm not saying it's the ultimate fix, but talking about it helps. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. It's the best start. And people just don't want to.
This was a night where she walked into the pub and everyone just like turned around and I was like, who is that? Because she is like the most like beautiful person ever. I remember loads of boys like looking at her like coming up to her and like, who are you? like trying to chat with myself. She was like, get away.
She used to look like Dora the Explorer. When we were small, we were actually like worst enemies. I guess I was quite jealous of her coming into the world and taking all my limelight away. So it was only really when we got older that we became best friends.
In September 2015, Lucy began studying for her nursing degree.
Lucy was so excited to do nursing. She was excited to look after people because Lucy, never really cared about herself. She cared more about other people.
She started the course in September and she went to a Halloween ball at one of the clubs and she met a junior doctor and they became serious really quickly.
If she got a boyfriend, it was always something very serious. It would be all or nothing.
They were talking about marriage, they'd gone on holidays together, they were planning on moving in together. She felt that she'd got her life planned out.
Lucy was paying her own way through university, working 2 jobs to pay the bills.
Lucy would do 12 hours at the ward, at the hospital, what she loves, but then she would have to go and do a shift at a restaurant, like really long shifts, like 6 in the evening to like 11:30, 12 at night, and she's just done a 12-hour shift. Like, that's not healthy for anyone.
She did tell me that she was struggling. There was just a lot of weight on her shoulders and a lot of pressure, and there wasn't much she could do about it, really.
In the spring term of her second year, Lucy and her boyfriend split up.
She was distraught. Like, I've never seen anyone like it, because I think she thought she met her dream person, like they can spend the rest of their life together. It just broke her, and I think that's where it all started to go downhill.
I feel like on top of all the other pressures, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, really.
On the day of Lucy's death, she met up with a few friends.
But she'd been socialising a few hours earlier, and her friends certainly didn't think there was anything wrong. There were no warning signals. I think it was something that happened quite suddenly. I think she went in a dark place.
In the final hours before her death, Lucy sent a text.
When I got the inkling that something was wrong, I just tried to call her and call her and call her and call her, and I must have called her about 50 times without her answering frantically. I got a call from my mum's number, but it wasn't my mum, it was a police officer.
I decided not to wait for them to have to break it to me. I just said to them, just tell me, is she dead? And they said yes. I just screamed.
You know, she did call me and she did say that she was, you know, depressed. So yeah, I always said, you know, you can talk to me about anything. And she did. I guess it just, maybe, I don't know, I just couldn't, I don't know, just couldn't save her, I guess. Yeah.
I don't think anyone should have to go through this feeling, because it's a dark, dark feeling of losing your best friend, especially to suicide, especially not at this age. How do you cope? Like, what do you do? You don't know what to do.
In October 2013, Andrew returned to Oxford to begin his second year. But his friend Effie didn't return with him.
I started seeing doctors and things over the summer. I basically decided I didn't want to go back. I wish Andrew had known about me. I was feeling like this and Andrew was feeling like this, and I could have at any point just gone, you know what, Andrew, I'm dropping out of university. I think I'm depressed. And that sort of sharing of stuff, if I had just done that, maybe it would have changed things.
Still struggling, Andrew only shared his feelings with one person, his girlfriend Clarissa, at home in Brazil.
He told me that he felt like a fake and that he was falling short of the image that people had from him. And he told me he hadn't been going to his lectures and skipping his tutorials, and he hadn't been doing any work, and he was just staying in his bed all day and crying. And he didn't want to tell anyone else about his depression because he felt really ashamed.
By November, Andrew was falling seriously behind with his work. His tutor asked the local GP to see him.
His demeanour was neutral and pleasant. He was not visibly distressed. He didn't give much away emotionally at all. I suggested he might want to talk to the counselling service about it, but he was completely against that. Strongly encouraged him to share it with his parents, which he, again, flatly refused to do so. Anyone over the age of 18 has the right to say that they don't want their parents to be informed. We always ask people about self-harm thoughts, and as I did with Andrew, He said he had some fleeting thoughts but would never act on them. And if someone says they will never act on them and you check on that, what else can you believe?
Andrew was prescribed antidepressants and asked to come back for another appointment.
He told me that he really, really wanted to die and he didn't even know anymore if he wanted to get better. Andrew made it very clear that he didn't want me to tell anyone. I was afraid that at the moment I owed someone, he would just commit suicide, you know, that he would feel so ashamed.
The night of Andrew's 20th birthday would be the last time he'd speak to Clarissa.
We laughed and we had like a funny conversation and we were talking about his plans to come to see me in Brazil, and I think we both thought that when he came to Brazil and after he had spent a month with me, he would feel better and he would be ready to go back to uni and do his work. We said we loved each other. Actually, I think it was just the last message he ever sent me. It was just say he loved me back.
The next day, Andrew was called to a meeting with his tutor, where it was suggested he should consider taking a year's medical leave.
It would have been devastating. Absolutely devastating. His dream had crashed.
I had an email from College Dean saying that he was still worried about Andrew and that his tutor had said that he seemed very distressed. I wish that Andrew and I had met again because it's possible that he may have been in a frame of mind to reveal his true intent.
He had a train ticket on Monday morning. He'd washed all his clothes. His birthday cards were on his shelf. It was his birthday on the Wednesday. He was given this news on the Thursday. And on Friday, he bought the rest of the things he needed to kill himself. I hadn't heard from him on Sunday morning. And he was going to Brazil on Monday morning. I sent a text that said something like, "You're really worrying me now. If I don't hear from you by 12, I'm just going to come." I actually, at that point, still thought maybe he was asleep on somebody else's floor after a party. But as I left the house here and drove up the motorway, something felt wrong. And because I got there and there was nobody at the house. So I had a phone call from the dean who told me to smash the door down and get in there. And then it got really scary. And then the policeman was looking at stuff, and then we found a package that had been delivered to Andrew was actually still just inside downstairs. And I said to the policeman, "What is that for?" And he said people use it to harm themselves. And then the policeman got this call on his walkie-talkie, and the message that he'd got was that they'd found a body in Port Meadow. So they then asked for a photograph, and then within about 20 minutes, the policeman told me that he was dead.
A student from Oxford University's Balliol College has been found dead at a local beauty spot. The area of Port Meadow was sealed off for much of yesterday.
I was sitting in the living room, she called George in, and then she sat down on this little beanbag. I sat on the sofa, and she said, and I remember the words exactly, she said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but your brother isn't alive anymore."
The worst part is imagining what you would say to him and what he would say back. And then knowing that he's not going to be able to say those things. For me, that's the worst.
Andrew's brothers, Ryan and George, are leaving to return to university.
After Andrew died, one of the major things that shifted in my whole view of the whole thing was I should go to university and everything I do at university should just be the stuff that I enjoy. A successful life isn't a life where you're winning Nobel Prizes and getting hundreds of thousands of pounds. A successful life is a life you're enjoying.
Have a lovely year and enjoy it. Enjoy freshers. We're kind of like trying to tell people a little bit about the Stefan Socks campaign today.
Stefan used to fence in 2 pink socks and it was his trademark. We wear pink socks because it's our way of remembering Stefan and our way of raising money to make sure nothing like this ever happens again.
One of our students tragically died by suicide. It started a massive campaign of raising awareness for mental health, and it's about knowing that it's okay to not be okay.
I think Stefan was very much of the mindset that it wouldn't be very blokey or manly or appropriate to admit you're depressed.
She thought that she couldn't reach out to anyone because no one would be there for her. I just wish that she knew there were so many people there who would have been there for her in like 2 seconds.
If you are going through depression, you just need to tell somebody. Just wish I could just talk to her one more time. You know, look into her face and see her looking back, really. You know, just living and breathing, even if it was just for 5 minutes.
And welcome back, guys. Wasn't that heartbreaking?
Right. I was asked by the family to play this clip. Andrew was my cousin. He had a bright future, as you saw in the clip. The brothers there did go on to university and the past. They are surgeons. One works at the LGI in Leeds in the children's department for heart surgery. The other brother works in the path lab where you give blood and test for blood problems, leukemia and stuff like that. So yes, I know what suicide is like and how painful it can be. And this is why I got asked, can you please bring to Ed suicide? And to get people to realise how painful and how upsetting it is for people to lose family members, loved ones, because no fault of their own. This is why I said it needs to stop. We need to unite. Just fancy what Andrew could have gone on to be. But wait a minute, he sadly committed suicide. But what did he do? Because he didn't get any help. His family also suffered. His girlfriend also suffers because he didn't get the support or the help. But there's too much of it in this world. This needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. There's too much things in this world what needs to stop. I feel the pain every day for Andrew. It's coming to his birthday soon. I grew up with this lad from a very young age. I see his brothers once every year, and we either go out for a pint or we go and talk at his grave and pay our respects. But we shouldn't be doing this. We should all be out enjoying life and partying, going to gigs, going to watch shows, going to the seaside, going on holiday together. The list can go on, but I haven't got that now with him because he's no longer here. Right. This is why I'm doing about suicide. Because my family has suffered. And we cannot stand no more of people committing suicides and not getting help and support. It needs to stop and needs to stop now. This makes me angry. It makes me feel sick inside because I've been there. I know what it feels like. The family have been there. They suffer. Yes, Jamie doesn't know about that side of my life. That's my family. We don't bring things up because it hurts. I've got a gap in my heart because he's not there. This is why I want it to stop. I'm going on to 50 this year. He's not there to celebrate my 50th birthday. He wasn't there for my 18th or his 18th. This is why it needs to stop. Because it's too painful. People are suffering of no fault of their own because people are not getting supported. They're not getting help. They're not getting what should they be entitled to. It's wrong. Totally, utterly, disgustingly wrong. And this is why we need to stand and be united. So my family doesn't go through it again. And other family members out there don't go through it. Because it is horrible. It's disgusting. I have not got my cousin here anymore because he's committed suicide. It's wrong. Because he didn't get the help and the support. This is why I've done. I want to show people what the pain it is to lose a loved one because of suicide. And they're no longer here. I look like I've lost a limb. Me and them could have been out with us families, having enjoyment. They could have had loads of kids who could have grown up together. Right. And this is why it needs to stop. There's too much of it. It's disgusting. You walk the streets in town and see homeless people. Some of them are ex-servicemen You go to see, are you aware about families in poverty? You'll see them going to food banks. But wait a minute, what could end up 9 out of 10 if they hadn't got this? They could end up committing suicide, which is horrible. So that's another family like mine got hurt because they didn't get the support. So they took Noble Road and committed suicide. It is wrong. It is disgusting. It shouldn't be happening. I don't want any more. My heart bleeds every time I see it. When I walk on North Bridge and I see the people and the flowers and I think, oh shit, that happened to me. I know what that family feels like. And then you talk to the parents or the people who's there on the bridge and find out and then tell them, and they find out their story, and then I tell them my story, that it happened to me. And it shouldn't be. We should be on the bridge and we should be celebrating life. Not being there because you want to pay respects to a loved one. Or you want to... This is why it needs to change. The pain is hard. It kills me every day in not being here. His mother lost a son. Think about how she feels every day not having a son here because he committed suicide. So what does she have to do? She has to go to his grave. But wait a minute, it's not going to a grave and playing and put his spouse is not the same as him being here. So she doesn't see him grow up, and she things in his life, have a family of his own. What every parent wishes for their own children, a future for their children, have grandchildren. He'll never have this, for no fault of his own. This is why it needs to change. And change for the good. There's too much of it. Too much of it. And time the governments and the councils start supporting us so we don't get this. This is why I did this channel today. It's not because I thought, oh, I'll just talk about suicide. I did it because I was asked by the family, so people don't go through the pain and the hurt and everything else what goes to it. This needs to stop, and needs to stop now, because there's too much of it. There's too many families out there hurting, crying every day in their hearts because the loved ones are no longer here. Our families who's got children, whose mothers, fathers, brothers have committed suicide for no fault of their own. So tonight, before you go to bed, please do me one favour. Say a prayer if you're religious, or just have a few minutes to think to all the people who's committed suicide, and just say, why is this happening when it shouldn't be? This is why I do stuff like this. It's because I want it to be brought to the front in people's minds, and to think, wait a minute, what he's saying is the truth. what he's saying is right. I don't give a hoot about subscriptions. Never have, never have. I don't give a hoot about money. Money is the root to all evil. But what I do give a hoot about is the people. The people are more important to me. Doesn't matter where you come from. If you're black, white, orange, green, an alien, you're still family. That is the most important thing in life, is family. Brothers, sisters, we all came from one thing. We are all human beings. We are all, in the Bible, brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in the Bible, or if you've got a different religion, or you don't, and all this. We are still brothers and sisters. We came from the same thing. We all came from your mother and fathers. This is why I said we are family. We're brothers. We're sisters. We're cousins. We're aunties. We're uncles. We're grandparents. We're mummies. We're daddies. But it all comes down to one thing. When it all comes down, we are all human beings. We are all family. Doesn't matter what religion you support. Doesn't matter if you're a millionaire. Doesn't matter if you're black, you're white, you're green, you're orange. You're still family. And people need to unite and support one another, so they don't get any more people committing suicides or not getting the help, the support, what we need. This is not just because I feel like ranting tonight. It's because I've had enough. I can't stand anymore. My family cannot stand anymore. People committing suicides or not getting the support they need. You hear on these channels, if you listen and stop being dickheads, what people are trying to say to you, that what's happened to them, and if they've got the help or if they need help, and be united as one and think, yes, I could support that lady or I could support that gentleman, so they don't go on to commit suicide, or so another family like mine don't suffer. This is why I do channels like this, and get to, because I want the people to start and think, wait a minute, things need to change, and to need to change now. This is why I'm doing stuff like suicide, children's health, people getting raped, and all the other crimes, horrible crimes what people can do, and everything else. It needs to stop. Families are getting hurt too much. People are getting let down too much and suffering. It shouldn't be happening in this day and age. We're the 5th richest country. We have a commonwealth. Why don't they support supporting everybody so we can do trade deals, we can bring industry back, we can get the support we need? So there's no more suicides, no more people getting let down. This is why we need to unite. We need to march and to these governments and to these councils and say, enough is enough. Families have suffered too much. And if you can't do your job, give it to somebody who can. Because we've had enough. We don't want any more families and children suffering for a hungry powered government or councillors and councils. Because the people need to stand, be united, and fight all this shit what's going on in the world. Because it's one of the horriblest things is when you get a police officer knocking on your door and saying, are you the mother, are you the father, are you so-and-so, because one of your loved ones committed suicide.
Well, again, you can always take my perspective into it when I'm...
Now, if you've never been there and you've never had a police officer knock on your door at 3 a.m. in the morning and say, are you the father of Andrew, or are you the mother of Andrew? I'm very sorry to tell you, he's committed suicide. That poor woman could have had an heart attack because of the shock. Could have, because of the pain and the things of losing a son. What his brothers and losing a brother. His girlfriend losing someone he loves, like all of us. This is why it needs to change. I've suffered too much. I've seen too much in life. I've seen people getting killed. Yes, I have seen people getting killed. That was my job when I left school. I worked in a mine. So I did see people get killed in mines. I had to investigate it. I had to clean the bodies up. So yes, I do know what it's like to work that side as well. But wait a minute, I had to go to the person's house and tell them that their loved one has been killed. So I know what it feels like. But wait a minute, one of my family members committed suicide. So you just venture, I've got to go to someone's house and tell them that their family member has been killed in a mining accident. But wait a minute, on the other hand, my family member committed suicide. Now you see why it needs. Now you see why I'm in so much pain and anxiety and stress, because I don't want any more of it. I've had enough. Like many people, we need things to change, and to change for the good, so we don't get this, so families don't suffer. And go through what we've gone through. This is why you need to unite and stop being selfish and think of only one person. When you can go do marvelous stuff out there for the people. People on this YouTube channel could have lots and lots and lots of things what people could need for support, or know things what people could use for the support they need, instead of being selfish, greedy, power hungry. When they say, when somebody comes in and says, I've got problems with school, somebody could be on there who could know basically how they could get the support. Or I need to know how to get an hospital appointment. Or I need to see this. I need things with this advice. When people on here has got the advice they need, but they won't tell people because they're selfish. Or stuck up as thinking, I know everything. When they could say, yes, so-and-so, if you do this and this and this, you can get, and you're giving the support, and they're loving, and they respect what people should be deserving. So there's no more suicides, and families getting hurt, and losing loved ones. So we don't have to suffer in silence. This is why I said we need to unite. We need to stand together. That is what my motto stands for. That's why it is in my YouTube title. It isn't because I thought, I'd just put these words in because I worked at Leeds United and it's their motto, and it's to do with United and they're in the Football League. It isn't to do with that. It's because I want justice for the people. I want to be united in a league so we can be champions. Then I've got my name because I'm proud of my name. Then I'm marching on together. I want us all to march down and fight this corruption and fight these power-hungry people. That is what the name stands for. It's nothing to do with Leeds United, even though it's their motto, and I worked there many moons ago as security and bodyguard. Yes, it could have influence to that, and to remember me that I did that, but it's not that. It's because I want to be united. I want people on YouTube channel to get the respect they deserve. I want people to support one another so we don't suffer any more suicides, any more people getting let down by society and hungry power people in this world. But one person can't do it alone. It's impossible. But wait a minute. If we all stand together, we may get things changed. We may get what people need. Mental health problems sorted. So there's no more suicides. And families going to food banks and then end up because they can't take any more of it, committing suicides. This is why it needs addressing, and it needs addressing now. And it's not because I got asked to do it, it's because I've seen what families are like when they lose loved ones because of suicide. Not just my family, other families. And you're thinking, yet another person being let down. And you feel sorry for the families, and you really feel sorry for the person who's committed suicide because they haven't had the help or support. This is why it needs to change, and change for the good. We voted out of Brexit for the people because people wanted things to change. People might not vote for Brexit, but wait a minute, that was their choice. But wait a minute, if the government start listening to the people, we might end up with less suicides. We might end up with none. One suicide is enough. We don't need any more. I want a brighter future for my family, for your family, your children, their children, your grandchildren, not to be in a life of dead end, nothing to do. This, so they end up committing suicides, or worse. It's wrong. The government needs to be taken to task. The councils need to be taken to task. The power-hungry people out there need to be taken to task and say, enough is enough. So there's no more pain and suffering and loved ones committing suicide. This is why we do stuff like this on these channels, to bring to people's minds and to tell people what's happening in the world, so we can get things to change, so families don't suffer anymore, loved ones don't suffer anymore, so you don't have to go through what my family went through and other families, because they didn't get the support and the needs they wanted. So you don't lose loved ones. Just fancy what had happened if one of your loved ones today committed suicide, how you would feel, because he didn't get the support or the respect he needed or they needed. And then you'll find out and you think, wait a minute, he's right what he's saying, because I don't want any more of it. I've had enough. And many other families out there have had enough, because they're losing their loved ones because of suicide. It's wrong. My family suffer every day because Andrew is not here. And you're thinking, wait a minute, what would he be doing today if he was here? What would his children be doing today if they were here? His girlfriend. What would they be doing together? And that I could have gone to and I missed out on a wedding. And more cousins. And more family members who I love. Like I love the people on YouTube. You're my family. This, and you're my brothers and sisters. This is why I said we should all be united and stop fighting each other and bickering like 2-year-old school kids in a bloody playground. This is why I'm saying we should go on and listen to these channels and think, wait a minute, these people needed their help. They need the support. Not to be harassed and everything else what goes with it. And taking people's channels and put them on and doxing them and all this lot. It's stupid. They need the support and the loving. And say, yes, I'm listening to your pain. I'm listening to what you're saying. And yes, you're right what we're saying. Because so these people get the support, so they don't end up committing suicide because of somebody being stupid and not giving the support, respect, love, what the people deserve. So we don't go through what I've gone through and lost a loved one because of suicide. This is why people on YouTube need to be united and stand firm and support one another and stop dishing and everything else what goes with it to other channels and think, wait a minute, that person needs support, that person needs help, he needs a person to speak to, he needs respect, he needs a kind person so he doesn't go on to commit suicide and so no family gets hurt because of it all. This is why it needs to change and have respect for one another so there's no more of people committing suicides and everything else what goes with it, because it's painful, it hurts, it's one of the worst pains in the world is to lose a loved one because of suicide.
If anybody wants to join us on the chat, they're more than welcome to ask.
And this is why we're saying, unless it's happened to you, you don't know what the pain feels like. And for your ladies out there who's had children and gone through childbirth, it's worse than childbirth. It's worse than any pain you can imagine. Because it never goes. It's always there. This is why it needs to change. And change for the better. My family suffer every day because I've lost a loved one because of suicide. There's many families out there suffering every day because of a loved one committing suicide. And they're not getting the support they need.
Scott, if you want to come on, my friend, don't give a toss about the neighbours. If you want to come on, you're more than welcome. It don't matter if there's background noise or anything.
Anybody welcome on this site can come on. There's no problem. Just ask and you can come on. Because this is what we said. We are a support channel. We support one another. We don't dish out disrespect for anybody. The only people who get disrespected are the people who cause harm and distress to other people. I don't like it. So you get blocked. But if you want to come on and show respect and kindness to one another, you're more than welcome.
Anybody? Yeah.
I mean, you're more than welcome on my channels. Because I said, I love each and every one of you. Your family. You're my brother. You're my sister. Doesn't matter what you believe in, what your religion is. If you believe that we should stay in Europe, if you're a billionaire, if you're unemployed, if you smoke drugs or take drugs, that's your own personal problem. You're still family. As long as we all unite so we don't get any more suicides in this world. Because enough is enough. My family has suffered too much. Other people's families have suffered too much because of suicide and not getting the help and support what people need and should be entitled to. There shouldn't be a waiting list for anything. It should be there if you need the help and support, so you don't go on to commit suicide and hurting another family and losing another family member because of it. It's one of the horriblest things in the world to find out you've lost a loved one because of suicide. And then I'm going to have to go into the funeral. And they're thinking, all this lot. And getting asked to carry the coffin into the church. When you shouldn't be doing this. You should be here with me and his family, enjoying life. This is the hardest bit about everything. You suffer every day because they're not here. Because of the committed suicide. When they died too young because of suicide. Our families out there losing loved ones.
So we put in a minute. Right. ADE, if you want to actually one day meet up in Beechwood Park and you send me an email, I'm happy to actually meet up with you, my friend, and we can do a video or something together.
It's what I said.
If you would like to do that, I'm more than welcome.
Yeah.
And you can obviously put his perspective of the area and that type of thing as well. I should be able to get you my email. Should be able to get the emails somewhere. You want to carry on speaking, Dad?
Right. It's right what he's saying. That a young lad committed suicide at Beechwood Park. The only chillers though, school children found him. Another life being let down. See? That's another family going through the pain of my family because of one of the family members committed suicide. It's wrong. It needs to change so we don't get it anymore. There's too much of it in this world of people getting let down and not getting the support what we should be entitled to.
ADE, my email's there. If you ever want to come and meet up,
this is why we need to be united together and stay strong as one unit, so we don't get any more people committing suicides, getting let down. So they get the support. They get the help. And they don't get brushed under the carpet like many others. Or have to pay for private treatment because they're not getting the help they need when they should be entitled to it. We all pay us taxes and it's put to the government. And we're supposed to, these taxes and stuff we pay, supposed to go to the NHS. Supposed to go and support the people. It's time we started fighting them so we don't get any more suicides, people let down. So families don't have to go through the pain of losing a loved one because they can't take any more and they commit suicide. How many people would you think out there has lost a loved one because of suicide? Or if you've got a chance and you're in Halifax, or if you're in somewhere else, and have a walk and see. And then you're wondering, why is there flowers here? Because if 9 out of 10, the poor person could have committed suicide. It's wrong. My heart bleeds every time I have to walk on North Bridge because of it. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute. And then I get into the head the picture of Andrew, my cousin, who did exactly the same because he didn't get the support, the help. And then you're thinking, why is it happening in the world? And then you hear me auntie's voice, my cousin's voice in my head, and what she said and asked, why is it happening? Why is a son lying in a coffin? And you could see the tears rolling down on her face. And his brothers with tears in there and crying. And then his body going into the ground. Which is even worse. Because he's no longer here. To have a laugh with. And to go and watch football. And to see him grow up. And to be what he wanted to be. And then you're thinking, wait a minute. I've also lost his children. What he would have had with his girlfriend. And what his mum has lost. And his family. Because he's no longer here. So he will not see his brother's children. Because he's no longer here. He will not be celebrate his brother's birthdays, his mum's birthday, his family's birthday. Because he's no longer here. This is why it needs to change and needs to change now. So there's no more families going through the pain of losing a loved one because of suicide. And families getting let down because they're not getting the support they need. So they're 9 out of 10 committing suicide. So another family suffer yet again because of suicide. It's horrible. It's disgusting how people are getting treated. And I don't want it no more. I can't stand any more pain. I've had enough in my life. And this is why it needs to change. I've gone through it too long. And my family has gone through it too long. But yet, Andrew will always be there. He'll never leave us. But yet, we can't speak to him. We can't have a laugh. We can't go to the pub. We can't go to football. Because he's no longer here. Because he committed suicide. Because he didn't get the support he needed. Or the help.
Just read what Kim's put on.
Yeah.
Facts only tell part of the story. In 2016, there were 4,941 deaths recorded as suicide in England and Wales.
Too many. One is too many. This is why it needs to change. There you are. Nearly 5,000 people have committed suicide in 2016. So fancy. Now just think. what their families, their loved ones will be pain they'll be getting because of it. It's wrong. Totally and utterly wrong. What? And then you need to think, why is this happening? And then you say, he's right, it needs to stop. And it needs to stop now. Well, God, I didn't know that. Okay. See? It's wrong again. Children getting groomed in grooming gangs. It's wrong in today's society. Totally and utterly wrong. It shouldn't be happening. But yet, 9 out of 10, if these children get the support they need, some of these children could end up committing suicide because of it. So we lose more because of it. It's terrible and disgraceful. Our future. Our future is getting let down. There's too much of it in this world, and I don't want any more. I'm sick and tired to death of hearing people and families losing loved ones because of it, and children getting raped and sexually assaulted. It's wrong. Anyone who commits suicide, there shouldn't be any, and they get found justice. They should be hung. Get rid of them. We don't want them. It's disgraceful. We don't want them on this earth. That's no family ruined because of it. Yes, you might think, but they could be rejuvenated and all this law. It doesn't work. There shouldn't be anything like this. Rape or sexual assault, if they got found out basically that they found guilty, that's it. They shouldn't be here. Because, and the person who gets this should get the support. And the help they need, so they don't go on to commit suicide. But you watch, they won't get the support they need. They won't get the help they need. So what they'll do, they'll get let down yet again. So that another family gets let down yet again. And it's wrong. Totally and utterly wrong. And the time we united and stood firm and got things to change for the better, so we don't get any more children being groomed or let down, families not let down. Get what we need, the support, the help, so we don't get suicides. We don't get families suffering in pain because of loved ones committing suicides. It needs to change, and change for the fastest and the quickest, and it needs to be now. So we can make a brighter future for each and every one of us with the help, support for one and another. So before you go to bed tonight, think, why is there so much people getting let down in this world? Why are people committing suicide? Why are we not getting the help, the support we all deserve? And the families of all of us deserve. So basically there is no more of this. If people are interested in doing a phone-in, I'm more than welcome. This is why, this is why it needs to change. And it needs to change now. So we don't go through the pain of my family. The pain of losing a loved one because of suicide. If you ever come to Halifax and you fancy seeing what I'm on about, you can have a walk on Northbridge and read the cards, read the flowers, and then you'll feel the pain I suffer every day because one of my loved ones committed suicide, like many more. If anybody wants to phone in, they can do it. Numbers there. What's committed suicide off that bridge or anything else they've done? It's time it changed. Families have suffered too much. And this is why it needs to change. Enough is enough. And I'll finish on this note. Remember, we are a family. Respect one another. Love thy neighbour. Love your brothers, your sisters. Be united as one. Support one another. And let's get things to change for the better. So families, loved ones, friends, neighbours, don't end up committing suicide because they're getting let down by society, because they're not getting the help, the support, the respect they deserve. This is why I want to do stuff like this, so it brings to people's minds and think, wait a minute, he's right what he's saying. And yes, we need to take a step back and say, why is this happening to families? Why is this happening to people we love? So you don't get what my family's gone through and many other families in the world. Children getting hurt, people committing suicide, or getting hurt because of no fault of their own, because they're getting let down when they should be getting the support, they should be getting the help, they should be able to get what they need, and the support, the respect, the love for one and another. So families don't go through the pain, the loss of losing a loved one because of suicide. Or children committing suicide because it's too painful and the hurt is too much. We can only take too much, and it's tight, and I've had my skin full because of the hurt. People getting let down in society, not getting support they need, not getting medical care they need. The list goes on and on and on and on. So what? And suicide. So they commit suicide because they're not getting it. It's wrong. So another family suffers at the hands because they're not getting the help, the support a family member needs and should be entitled to. So they don't get any more people committing suicides and going through all the heartache of losing a loved one because of it. This is why it needs to change, and needs to change fast. It needs to change now. So if you want to phone in,
Yep, we can do that.
you can phone in tonight. No problem. Numbers there. I'd love to listen to what other people
can come on StreamYard.
They can come on to StreamYard if you want. I'd love to see basically what other people's views are tonight, because then
we'll wind up at about 3 hours mark.
Well, fair enough. Yeah. Because there's too much of it in the world. People committing suicide because they're not getting the help, the support they need, and families losing loved ones because of it. And this is why it needs to change. How many more people are going to go through what my family's gone through because of loved ones committing suicide and no longer being here? It's wrong. And this is why it needs to change. And it needs to change now, because there's too much of it. And I'm getting fed up of it. I'm getting sick of our children getting let down. I'm sick of hearing people needing support, needing help, and getting let down when they need the support. They need the help. And yet they're getting let down again and again and again and again. It's wrong. Totally and utterly, disgustingly wrong. It shouldn't be like this. Never in the world of Sunday, it shouldn't be like this. They should be able to get the support and the help and then what they need before people commit suicide because of all of it, and families suffering because their loved ones committed suicide. It's not just one day that when he committed suicide. It's every day you're suffering because they're not here. And then it comes round to the anniversary of him when he committed suicide. Which brings it all back again onto you. And then it's his birthday, which brings it all back again. This is why you need it to stop, and stop now. So every year it's his birthday. Every year it's when he committed suicide. So he's going through it and living through it all again. This is why you need it to change. It's painful. It's horrible. Because he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be in the cold ground. He should be with me. He should be with his family. He should be here so people can see him. He can make a future for himself. He can help other people. But he's not here. And it goes for many and many and many people who's committed suicide. And what they could have been in life. Just think how many people have committed suicide and what the jobs they could have been. They could have had the best doctors. They could have had be the best surgeons. They could sort medical problems out so they can sort heart disease, cancers. The list goes on and on. But they're not here to do it. Because they committed suicide. Because they haven't got the help and the support. This is why it needs to change. You hear the NHS screaming out that they need doctors. They're screaming out that they need nurses. They need surgeons. Look at the millions and millions of people what's committed suicide. What could have filled them jobs. Or other jobs what people need. They could have the best scientists in the world, but they're no longer here. And what they could have done for each one of us. Because they didn't get the help and the support.
Back in a couple of minutes, guys. I'm just need to do something. I'll catch you all in a second. Welcome back, guys. Yeah, I'm just wiping my tears. Right. As I was saying, there's too many people committing suicide, and it's wrong. And families losing loved ones because of it. And like I said, and family and people on chat who need people to support them and respect what they say, because everybody has a different view in life. We might not all like what people are saying, but listen to what they say. You could learn something and say, wait a minute, that person's got a good point, I'd like to know more. So send him a message. Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, Mary Trawler, whatever you want to do. Can you tell me more what you're on about? Instead of being, and that's what we call being respectful and not dishing anybody. Because you never know. You could find the answers we need. So there's no more people getting let down. No more
suicides and families suffering and people on their own suffering because there's not got anybody to speak to. When you say, wait a minute, right, you're in your own right, I can give you my mobile number so you've got someone to speak to and respect. Yeah, no problem, I'll have your number, I can talk to you if I need any help. This is what you call being respectful, giving people love so they don't go on to commit suicide because they're lonely or they aren't getting the support they need or everything else what goes with it. So that they've got someone to speak to. You've heard what we said. Talking is good. So people can get to talk to people. So they can get the help they need. And the support they need. If someone so needs help because I'm feeling depressed. Wait a minute, he's feeling depressed. I'll talk to him and then I'll send him some help. You've got the mobile number. Just contact the police. They'll soon trace where it's from. And just tell them that the person's in distress and that they need help. Or send them an ambulance if you think it's too finger. Or tell them to contact Samaritans or something like that so they don't go on and get distressed and everything else. So they end up committing suicides. So another family has to suffer. Like my family had to suffer when Andrew committed suicide. I've no fault of his own because he didn't get the help or support he needed. Yeah. This is why we need to support one another. Right. So I'm going to leave it there. So I respect each and every one of you who's been on tonight. And look after yourselves and your family. And support one another. And if you need any help or support,
we're here for you.
Yeah. Look, we're here for you.
And anybody who wants to come.
Or if you've got anybody's mobile number, ring them and tell them you need the help and support.
But
remember,
that's my mobile number.
Yeah, we're always here for you. Just ring us and we'll contact you if you need your help and support. This is what we're here for. We are here to support each and every one of you. And to be a family. And be united. And fight for our rights. So that no more people commit suicide because they're not getting help or support which they are entitled to by law. Yes, it is a law. It's called the Human Rights. That means you are entitled to it. And never mind getting flogged off and saying, oh, wait a minute, human rights law, you are entitled to it. So you don't go and lose a loved one. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Right, guys.
So remember,
girls,
peace, love, respect. It costs you nothing. It doesn't cost any money to give it. and to receive it. Make someone happy. Just say to them, hello, how are you doing today? Do you need any help? Do you need any support before we get any more people committing suicides? Because they're not getting it. And then families going through pain because they're losing loved ones. As I said, peace to every one of you. Love, respect, support. Doesn't cost anything, but it's good to give it and to receive it. Remember, kindness and showing people love is great. It's fantastic. It gives you a warm feeling in your heart. Disrespecting people is horrible. It's disgusting. We should be showing people love and support, care, and say, oh yes, you've got a problem, I can sort you with that. Oh, you need a friendly person to speak to so that they don't feel lonely. Or, yes, I'm here if you need me. It's not going to cost you anything. It doesn't cost you one bit of penny to show people respect and love. It's in this world. It might be a phone call. It's a few pennies. Or you just go onto the web. It costs you nothing, not much of. Go to Facebook, go to Messenger and send them a message. Ask them how they feel today. And now if they're well, or if they need your support, or if you need a friendly face to talk to, so we don't get any more people committing suicides, families suffering because a loved one's committed it, and going through the pain of losing a loved one to it. Like my family has to suffer every year because we've lost a loved one because of suicide. And his birthday's coming in a couple of weeks.
We'll leave it there one time.
His death, when he committed suicide, is coming in a couple of weeks. It's not long after his birthday. It's a fortnight between his birthday and the day he committed suicide. Now, you see why it's so painful. It's only a fortnight between his birthday and the day he committed suicide. 14 days.
Thank you, Scott, for tuning in, listening this evening, and same to you as well, brother.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it there anyway, and thank you to everybody who's tuned in this evening. I know it's been a difficult subject to actually talk about, and to anybody who is listening, DJ Vix is doing a live stream over the top of this one, so you're more than welcome to go over and listen to her.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, and good evening, and stay safe.
And look after your loved ones.